Okay, so good afternoon.
Hi, Kaddy.
Tell us your name, please.
My name is James Townsend, and I'm CEO and co-founder of Mobilise.
Wonderful. So tell us 5 things about you.
5, goodness. Like John Denver, so number 1, like John Denver, I'm a country boy. So I grew up on a farm in Gloucestershire, and although I now live in London, I think I will always be a country boy.
Okay.
Second is that I love traveling whenever I can. So the last couple of years has been really difficult for me, but the opportunity to just get out in the outdoors and hiking or climbing or whatever it might be is a really valuable thing for me.
Okay.
Number 3, you're testing me now. I don't think I have 5 interesting. You didn't ask 5 interesting things. You just asked for 5 things, didn't you, Kaddy?
Yeah.
Let's say that number 3 is that I used to work for the Church of England. So I used to work in their schools team, and we developed a new way of providing training for head teachers and leaders of schools around the country, which enabled head teachers to learn from each other, which I think is a really important thing.
Excellent.
How many? We've done 3 now, right?
Yeah.
So,
not that I'm
goodness. Number 4, I'm going to come up with. I've been an organist in a past life. I haven't done it for years and years now. But I used to play an organ. Maybe that's connected to the church thing.
Okay.
But as a kid, I loved playing the piano, and then I saw that you could make a lot more noise and be a lot more disruptive if you had an organ. So that's great fun. And then the 5th one is I have newly become a gardener. So I moved house a few months ago, and for the first time I've got some outside space.
Wow.
And I am very excited about reporting to my colleagues, who get very upset about it because I don't talk about anything else, about the progress of my honeysuckle, which is great fun.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you for that, James. So tell us a bit about your professional background.
Yeah, so well, originally I trained as a teacher in Manchester, actually, and I think there's a really important thing that I took away from that. So I was teaching in Copley High School in Stalybridge, and you've got a real range of experiences there. A lot of people who are fantastically bright, energetic, enthusiastic, but often don't have the opportunities that a lot of other people do around the country. And I learned a lot from my experience of teaching and really getting to know the kids in my class. And a key thing for me was learning that there's so much potential in each one of us, and that teaching is about drawing it out and finding an opportunity to grow and nurture that. It's not, teaching and education is not like filling a bucket. And I think we'll come on in a moment, I'm sure, to talking about Mobilise and what we do. But really that sense that there is knowledge, wisdom and expertise out there in the hearts and minds of so many carers, I think has really come from that time teaching in Manchester, really. So that's my professional background.
Wow. Okay, thank you. So tell me a little bit about your role as a carer and who you care for.
Well, it's funny, Kaddy. I wonder whether I might be similar to a lot of people in the Carers Collective community, because I hadn't really thought of myself as a carer until I started working with Mobilise. So my mum was diagnosed with MS a very long time ago. I think I was about 4 or 5. And I wasn't really aware of what was happening at the time. But obviously, as a family, we've been through a bit of a journey. Now, I have to say, my mother manages her condition exceptionally well.
Yeah.
So the impact of my caring role, if I'm honest, is fairly light.
Yeah.
But we've been through that journey, and one of the things that really frustrated me about that was that it felt like we were learning that process as if it was the first time anyone had ever done this.
Yeah.
And actually, realistically, millions of people are caring for a family member. This is a regular part of family life, and it's a really important part of family life as well. There's nothing more important to me than making sure the people I love are healthy, happy, and safe.
Yeah.
So it's going to be central.
Yeah. And so how long, so you were, so I guess, what age do you think you kind of started to realize that, your mom needed?
Well, I think part of it was how her condition has progressed, and as I say, she's been managing it very well. And so I think I first kind of became aware of it just when I was about 15, 16 maybe. I'm just conscious that it was starting to impact on her life and some of the choices that she felt able to make in a way that that I probably hadn't noticed before.
Okay. Okay. And what impact did the COVID pandemic have on you and your family?
Well, by that stage, excuse me a moment. I don't know if you're going to edit that out. I'm not sure how attractive it is. It might happen again. Well, the impact of COVID for us, well, I don't live with my mum and my dad, but for the purposes of lockdown, I moved down to the farm. There's obviously a lot more space, so I could isolate from them, and they also had a puppy, which was very attractive, and certainly for me personally, launching Mobilise, it actually meant that I could dedicate all of my time to the work we're doing supporting carers around the country, rather than worrying too much about any parties that were going on or anything else that my friends were doing. So in some ways it was an excuse to really knuckle down and think about nothing else. And actually it was really good to spend some time, some extended time with my mum and with my dad and with the dog, of course, as an adult, and really seeing how that relationship changes as we go along.
Excellent. So this brings me nicely on to Mobilise. So how did you come up with it? How did you come up with the name, first of all?
Well, I think this comes back to the idea of each of us building up this knowledge, wisdom, and expertise, which is so valuable to anybody who's starting out in a caring role. And the name Mobilise came from the concept of mobilizing the knowledge, wisdom, and expertise that's already there. We don't need to teach anybody anything. We don't need to come up with new ideas. Actually, most of this has been done already. All my job and the job of Mobilise is to mobilize it and to get it out of one person's brain and make sure that we can put it in the brain of someone who needs that piece of information. So that's why we came up with the idea Mobilise.
Okay. So how did you? So kind of did you kind of set it up on your own, or did you have colleagues around you that helped you in that regard?
Well, I met an inspirational guy called Kyro, Kyro, and he, like me, has been caring for his mum. His experience was very different, actually. I think his was much more intense form of a caring role. And we shared this vision for being able to use technology to democratize and to mobilize that knowledge, wisdom, and expertise. And then we were joined by my co-founder Suzanne Bourne, and her big thing about enabling people not just to cope, not just to manage, but actually, what would it be like if we could enable people to thrive with their caring role? I don't think we ever want to belittle the impact of caring and just how tough and messy and difficult it can be. But let's not lose sight of that idea that we could be thriving with our caring role and look at where it is. So between us, we set out on a journey, and we made a whole bunch of mistakes, and we got things wrong, and occasionally got into giggling fits with how things were going, and stumbled across this wonderful concept of bringing the community together through technology and using online tools.
Wow. So what year did you set it up in?
Well, technically that was 2019.
Okay.
And we sort of got going in. We were thinking about it for a long while, and then we kind of got going towards the end of 2019 with our first local authority contract.
Yeah.
And then we were sort of flapping around, and I'm not sure how well it was going until COVID hit. And then suddenly the idea of moving carer support online became very fashionable.
Yeah.
And we could move really quickly to make sure that carers were getting the kind of support that they needed. So that's what we did.
So it's very, in terms of its functionality, then it's you've got a Facebook group, you've got an Instagram page.
We do have both of those things, and the I think of it as a bit of a platform, really. We've learned that the carers we're speaking to really love simple technology. So we use email, SMS, SMS you might think of as texting, Facebook. These are all the things that carers are already using. So you don't have to learn a new piece of technology.
Yeah.
For now, you don't have to download an app. In the future, we want to develop the kinds of things that would need an app to be downloaded.
Okay. Yeah.
And what we can do is provide a lot of automated tools. So many of the same questions are coming up again and again and again, and actually providing an automated response that doesn't just give you a generic answer. The response can be tailored to the specific needs of a carer.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important, because when you're so much of a caring role is navigating what we call the system, and so trying to find a way of making that easier to navigate and giving you confidence that you've got the right answer is really important. And then yeah, as you say, we have a community in the Facebook group, and that the interactions that we have with, I think it's between 13 and 16,000 carers that we're regularly engaging with.
Right.
Those interactions then drive content, blogs, videos, responses that we know are then going to be helpful because they're based on practical wisdom.
Okay. Wow. And in terms of in terms of your how you are funded, is there an element that local authorities have realised that carers, as carers, they don't have the facility to offer the right support, engagement? How does that all work?
Yeah, so we think of the local authority as the client. They're the paying client, and then the user is the unpaid carer at the end. And there's all sorts of things that we're doing to support carers. From a local authority's perspective, what we're able to do is reach a much larger number of carers in their area than would otherwise be possible. So, we're talking tens of thousands of carers in an online way. And that means not only that we're reaching more carers, we're also reaching a different group of carers, and we're reaching them earlier. So our goal is to reach people 2 years before they would otherwise reach out for formal support. And Kaddy, I don't think I've spoken about this publicly yet. We've just found that about 70% of the carers engaging with our tools have never engaged with any formal support for their caring role before. So it's a really key demonstration of the fact that we're able to reach a new group of people earlier in their journey. And yes, then if your postcode is within a local authority contracted area,
Yeah.
we can offer a full suite of resources. But hey, if whether or not you're in a postcode with a local authority that's paid for the additional service, do come onto our website, mobiliseonline.co.uk, and there's still plenty for you to be engaging with, and resources that people find really valuable.
Wow. And how do you find the carers?
How do we find it? Well, we have a, if I'm absolutely honest, I don't fully understand it myself, Kaddy, but we have a sophisticated digital methodology which uses so we've been able to engage with well over 300,000 carers now, and we're able to use that what's called an audience to identify other people who might likely be a carer in the future. Might likely be a carer even if they haven't yet identified themselves yet. So we can then target them and make sure we're reaching out to them online.
It's really intriguing, because I think I came across you through Instagram, I think.
Right.
That's how I came across you. Then I went on your website and went, wow. Oh my God. Why haven't I come across this organisation before? And I was really impressed.
Well, thank you.
Because it's that pathway. I mean, I like the Mobilise bits, because because it's the path. It's often navigating what's out there, what am I entitled to, where do I go for support, being able to communicate and have that dialogue with other carers who get what it's like, who can immediately identify with what you're talking about. That whole support mechanism, because you run a Facebook group and you do couples.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're probably most famous for our virtual couples, which is only a small part of what we do. But yeah, every day we hop on a Zoom call, which is facilitated, and just an opportunity to exchange practical advice sometimes, but also the emotional support of knowing that we're all in this together. Yeah. And Kaddy, I'm flattered by what you say about our website. I'm really proud of it, and I think the thing that really makes it what it is that we're able to draw on the combined wisdom of however many thousand it is, people who've been there and who are walking this every day, and who know what it is to be a carer. And I think that means the content is valuable, but also the tone. I would hope that anybody coming to be part of the Mobilise community feels like they found their people, that we can talk to each other in a way that's really level to level, and it's not asking for help in the way that can sometimes be quite difficult if you're going to a formal commission service. Yeah, it's amazing what you do. Well, thank you. Yes. Well, thank you, James. Thank you, Kaddy. It's a great privilege to be part of what you're doing, and likewise, we're always impressed by the work that you're doing, and I think there's a real synergy in that sense that you're able to bring together in the Carers Collective people who are learning from each other and supporting each other. I think it's a really powerful model. Yeah, absolutely. And I think, there's so many, I keep coming across individuals who kind of write blogs about their journey and their life, but also organizations. And I just think with the current climate of, the cost of living, I think now is the time for, organizations to kind of almost come together and resound how. There's a lot of work to be done, yeah. Yeah. So there you go. So thank you for your time. Thank you. It's been a great privilege and a pleasure. So thank you. I'm going to stop the recording now.